Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Curious K podcast. My name is Kolapo and I'm your host. And I'm happy to bring back the Web3 series, which we started last year. As you know, the goal of the Web3 series is to explore the landscape, including Web3 application, decentralized autonomous organization, DAOs, Web3 games, decentralized finance, stablecoins, CB central bank digital currencies, the creator economy, and the privacy and digital infrastructure. But interestingly, as you know, we've been able to have conversation around the Web3 games, application, DAOs. And today, we're going to do something different because we'll be looking at Web3 from an investment perspective. And I'm excited to have a thought leader and an active player in the space who will be joining us for today's episode. Vincent Li, thank you, and it's an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us on Curious K podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Kolapo. This is Vincent, and very happy to be here.
Absolutely. All right. So before we go into the question, I would just like to share a brief profile about Vincent, and of course, in the course of the conversation, you get to learn more about what Vincent is doing. So Vincent is the founding partner of Adaverse. This is the Cardano Ecosystem Accelerator that aggregates entrepreneurs, strategists, and mentors, building its most robust foundation in Africa. And Adaverse supports blockchain founders with fund, mentorship, and tech. So Vincent, as you know, we're looking forward to an exciting conversation today. So without much ado, can you tell us about Adaverse and what inspired you to focus on investing in Web3 startups in Africa?
Yeah, sure. So Adaverse is the Web3 investor and accelerator in Africa and the globe. So we do investment to Web3 founders, startups, both in Africa and around the globe. And most importantly, we also do the acceleration program after the investment. So we include all the founders into our program, which takes 3 months. And in this period of time, we provide all kinds of support in 4 dimensions, like token design, technical consultancy, community building, and also listing advisory. So far, we have invested in more than 30 companies in Africa since last year,
Amazing.
and double down to more capital and investment in the future. And also some background from my side. Actually, I started working as a product manager back in 2008. So I still call myself as a product manager now. And I started working in Africa back in 2018, which is 5 years ago. And I was running Future Hub, the tech incubator and early stage fund backed by Transsion Holdings at the time. And we invested in some companies in Web2 and also did some venture buildings. And since 2021, we started several different things in the Web3 spaces. And during this time and experience, I learned many things from Africa, right? So one is that there are many gaps to be filled, right? So in terms of fintech, mobility, logistic, and plenty other verticals. And now I see a lot of space and potential that Web3 can really play an important role in Africa. And also, most importantly, I also see the potential for Africa to leapfrog some current status, right? For example, we can leverage Web3 and develop ourselves into a new era. So I'm very excited to devote myself into this course. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Vincent. So you mentioned you've invested in like 30 companies so far. But I would like to know what are some of the unique challenges and opportunities uh, for Web3 startups in the African context? And if you can just break it down in terms of how does Adaverse navigate these factors in its investment strategies?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I see two major differences and challenges in Africa in terms of Web3 startups. So the very first one is that um, different from the global ecosystem. So here we see a lot of fundamental use case in Africa, right? So if we talk about the global Web3 product project, so you see a pure crypto native things like layer one, layer two, ZK rollups, social infographics, DeFi protocols, and many more, right? But here in Africa, we see fundamental things like on-ramp, off-ramp solutions, cross-border payment remittance, and other verticals like supply chain, logistic, and freelance worker platform, and lots of other real world sectors. So I think the mindset should be very different, right? So here in Africa, we support founders who can really solve the real world issues, leveraging blockchain and Web3 technology. So that is the first one. And the second one is that here in Africa, the Web3 startup and ecosystem is kind of nascent and early stage. So most of the founders, they have a lot of experience in Web2 companies, and they're very great guys. Knows how to build a company, how to manage the team, and how to promote themselves. But the thing is that I see a lot of great founders who are curious about Web3, but doesn't really have the experience in Web3 and
Mm.
knowledge, right? So and also lack of operational resources to really build Web3 companies, right? So this is the second most the biggest challenge I can see. And how does Adaverse solve this? So that's why we don't really define ourselves as a pure investment company, right? So we do invest, but also we do a lot of support through the acceleration program, right? As mentioned, after the investment, we include all the portfolio companies into our acceleration program. So we provide mentorship, support, and different kinds of resources in 4 dimensions. We help them to build tokenomics. We help them to do the technical development, and also we help to build the community and help them to launch token successfully. So this is really a whole circle support, and we hope that we can add value and equip all the necessary knowledge and know-how to the founders we back.
Great, Vincent. So you mentioned about real world issues. I mean, that startups or founders in Africa are solving with Web3, like remittance, logistics, supply chain, and all that. So I would just like you to talk more about what role do you see some of the Web3 technologies playing in the future of African digital economy? And how is Adaverse positioning itself to be at the forefront of this evolution? I also know you mentioned that you just don't focus on pure investment. Once you invest, you also bring in the startups into your accelerator program. So, firstly, tell us about, I mean, Web3 technologies and how you think they can play in the future of African digital economy and at the vast positioning itself.
Yeah, sure. So I think Web3 is more suitable to Africa than any other continent. Why? Because we see a lot of fragmentation here in different industries here in Africa, right? For example, like let's say e-commerce, right? So the e-commerce in Africa, to me, from my understanding, is a little bit different from other continent and other uh, 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 market. So at the end of the day, you see a lot of vendors, they're selling things on social media, and they have their own like logistic guys, motorbike guys waiting at their front door, right? So it's pretty decentralized, right? So I see the big potential that the tokenomics, the decentralization, the can play an important role to encourage and motivate all the stakeholders in a certain work to work better, right? So that's why I think Web3, the technology and the whole paradigm shift can play a very important role in Africa. And as to Adaverse, as I mentioned, we already supported the 30 companies in Africa. We will double down more capital and more investment and more effort to try to be the top Web3 investor and ecosystem builder for Africa. So we really have a long vision on this, and we believe that at the end of the day, Africa, the biggest market and the most important market for the Web3 founders and startups.
Great. So I would just like us to take it a step further in terms of like some of this innovation and startup. So can you walk us through like a case study of a Web3 startup that Adaverse has invested in and supported in, and just maybe tell us about some of its impact on the African continent?
Yeah, sure. So there's one company called AfriBlue, who we backed back in 2021. So it's a company based in Zimbabwe, and what they do is they build a freelance marketplace, freelancers in Africa, and the clients over the globe, right? And build it in a Web3 way. So one thing is that they try to make all the transaction, all the profile. And the second is that they try to leverage the stablecoin payment to make it really borderless, right? So I really see great potential here. And so after the investment, we provide support in ideation. So we help to come up with the idea of shareable on-chain resume, right? So for all the freelancers, they put their resume on chain, and so all the credentials and all the information history cannot be changed freely, right? So it gives credibility to the potential clients, and also we help them to do the technical and how to leverage blockchain in terms of efficiency and also the payment, right? And so they connect more and more freelancers from Africa, and also they bring clients from the globe, and also we help them to connect several potential investors, and we promote them in our organized events so that they can be exposed to more research. And so far, they're doing a very good job. I think support this startup because they really serve the issue, provide jobs and incomes to Africa freelancers in a Web3 way.
That's really interesting. So I mean, this startup is located in Zimbabwe, right?
Yes.
All right. Africa. That sounds really interesting. So I would like to know, from a VC point of view, from a venture capitalist point of view, I know you have some key indicators of identifying what a promising Web3 startup is. So can you just share with us how does Adaverse evaluate potential investment in this space?
Yeah, it's a very good question. To me, I would like to see from three aspects, right? So the very first one is the founding, right? Because as a founder, as a guy who ran the startup, we would like to see the basic and fundamental capability. For example, how to run a startup, how to find a problem and a solution, and how can the team and meet the deadline, and how can the founder motivate and manage the team, and how can and do the fundraising, right? So this is quite like a basic capability that any other startup, right? So this is the first and fundamental one. And second is that we would like to see, how the founder is to the new technology, right? So we will ask a lot of questions, how they know things, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and things, and just to try to evaluate the founder's openness and also curiosity on the new technology, right? And the third one is also very important. We would like to see if the founder has the mindset of sharing, sharing of the benefits, the interests, because at the end of the day, the tokenomics is all about how you share interest and benefit and encourage all the other partners, investors, stakeholders to contribute to your project, right? So these are the three key factors that I would like to see from founders.
Great, sounds good. And I know you've mentioned tokenomics couple of times on this show today. So can you just break down what that means for us in a few words?
Yeah, sure. In a very high level, tokenomics means token economy, right? So basically, we would see a token project or Web3 project leverage the tokens, which can be seen as the point, coins, equity shares, and things, the ownership of the company and startup. We want to see how they leverage this system. For example, how much do they share to the current client and customers? How do they share benefit to the investors? And how do they leverage the tokens to encourage people coming back to their platform, right? So basically, this is a kind of a mechanism of leveraging token dispatch to encourage and grow their own product.
All right, sounds great. I think that's been able to break it down. So let's talk about. I mean, it's interesting to know some of the things you look for in terms of evaluating the startups that you invest in. So can you tell us about maybe your collaboration with other investors? Like you mentioned, Web3 investment or Web3 generally is still nascent in Africa, it's still new. And I know there are some other investors in the space that are still trying to identify great startups in the Web3 space. So it would be great if we can learn from you about how you collaborate with other investors, both in Africa and globally, and what other types of support do you offer for the growth of Web3 ecosystem on the continent?
Yeah, 100%. So firstly, I would like to say, I would be very happy to see more and more investors and startups entering Web3 in Africa. So it is a good sign, absolutely, for Africa, right? Because more players means the bigger ecosystem, right? And secondly, we tend to collaborate with investors together to support our portfolio companies, right? Because this is very important, and all we need to do is that we add value to the startup we back. So in detail, we have the external mentors apart from our in-house manpower to support startups in the acceleration program. So for the mentors, we try to gather all the possible great mentors we can reach over the globe, right? And most of the mentors are coming from the investment side, right? The global VC, the global crypto-related investors, right? So we tend to match them with the related founders we have, and then we enable them to do one-on-one sessions weekly, so that they can learn things from the investor and they can have advices from the mentor. And at the end of the day, so more and more mentor as the investor who will make decision to do the investment to our portfolio companies, right? And to consolidate this idea, we will also launch startup school to scale these interactions between the founder and the mentor in the near future. And we try to onboard at least 100 investors in this year.
Sounds really interesting. Because I mean, my next question is just really trying to understand, that as more investors and startup enter into the Web3 space, how does Adaverse maintain its competitive edge and continue to identify and support for these promising ventures? But interesting to know you're already building a network. I mean, it's amazing to have a pool of 100 investors. I think that is really mind-blowing for the ecosystem. So Vincent, can you share with us any exciting development, upcoming project that Adaverse is working on in the Web3 space?
Yeah, sure. I would like to share our acceleration program, right? So firstly, we have in-house team and so we have a couple of experts who runs the weekly workshop, and also one-on-one support, follow-up with the founders in several topics like product design, tokenomics, review of white paper, go-to-market strategy, community building, content planning, and fundraising and listing, right? So we cover almost all the topics for the founder who really need to know about Web3 and how to build the company a successful product, right? And second one is that we also work with external mentors from all verticals. For example, product managers, other global incubators, accelerators, content marketers, community builders, investors, of course, and also expert in terms of crypto exchange and listing, right? And also Launchpad. So we get together all of them to connect them to our founders and to provide useful insight. And so far we have some good tractions, right? And we have run 2 batches of acceleration cohort. And we will also launch Startup School to aggregate all the resources we can have and we can gather. So it'll be launched in 2 weeks. So please follow our website, adaverse.co. So we will share the latest update. Thank you.
Exciting to learn about what you're doing with Adaverse. I mean, and the amazing projects, startups are building, in the Web3 space in Africa. And of course, the work that Adaverse is doing, to transform this. Thank you very much, Vincent. It's amazing to have you on the Show Curious K podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you, Colabo.
All right. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and you've learned new things, about an investor perspective into the Web3 space in Africa. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share with your friends and those who you believe will find this very helpful. See you next time, and bye-bye.